Welcome everybody to Catfish Weekly along with Chad and Josh. I'm Lyle, and boys, it was a beautiful 68 degrees in southwest Missouri today.
It was in the mid 60s here in northern Kentucky as well.
It was nice here in Southern Illinois. Good, almost make you think it's going to be springtime for you.
It's on its way, and I noticed Chad fishing today, and I asked him what the water temperature was, and if I remember correctly, it was 48.
It was we were at about 45. It actually fell a degree or two, but it was 40 the other day in the other location we were fishing.
Yeah,
I'll be right back. I got somebody knocking at the door.
All right. I don't think he has anybody knocking the door. I think he did that on purpose.
I think so.
No, it was my daughter knocking on the bedroom door.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot I had that actually.
Yeah, we had that warm rain that came through all the Ohio Valley, and really, I mean, obviously you can see the flood waters that have consumed our area. So, yeah, it's a lot of warm water that came in and warmed that water up by about almost 10 degrees at one point. So
crazy cats. Before we get too far along here, Chadwick, why don't you, if you would like, you or Josh can go ahead and announce all the people that's in chat. Say hello to everybody.
All right.
And we'll get rolling.
All right. We got Outdoors in Indiana with Dave Scott, who is also a member. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Member Avid Fisherman. We got Big Wrench Catfishing. Mr. Dave Funk. 922 Crappie Barbecue, Jason Lamb, Muskrat Adventures, member Buck Williams, Crazy Cat Outdoors, John Patrick Jr., member Joe Buck 66, David of Carolina Catfish, member Fishing in Freedom, Dan Thompson, Moonlight Fishing, the lovely Christina Dunnigan, and I wish you luck not ruining your laptop.
Yeah, I hope she don't ruin my laptop.
Here we go. His parking spots, his laptop. Dale Hayslip.
She broke hers.
Member Brian B. Catfishing. Member Creole Catfishing. Mike Sampson. Dave Garshar, JG Hill Studio.
Has eaten ribs. Wow.
What? Has life. I had some buttered noodles and beef tips for dinner.
That sounds pretty good too.
Oh man, ribs.
Whisker Dreams. Troy from Real and Virtual Outdoors. Danny Stone Outdoors. America Gals Fish. Thank you, Creole Catfishing. Bribing. What? Why are you bribing Lyle for? Whatever could you want?
He couldn't be after a bumping rod, could he?
Yeah, no doubt.
I gotta tell you, I'm so happy to be home after being gone. So we get things lined out and get back to normal.
Absolutely. We got Michelle from It's All Mine, Sean Abney, Parker Pursuits. I'm getting there. We got Lance McHugh guy. And I'm at the bottom.
Did you get Big Wrench and It's All Mine?
I did.
Huh.
I didn't miss one. And if I did, because James Dockery, because he didn't say nothing, but he is having nothing but warm thoughts this week. So
James Dockery having warm thoughts? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, there's my favorite Fields giving 5 Catfish Weekly memberships in chat now.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
I was getting ready to say I'd also like to say good evening to Miss Cindy Stokes, Katie, and my beautiful, wonderful wife, Dee.
That's awesome.
Oh, Metal Cats is in here. Kevin's in here.
Yep, and there's Big Bill.
Big Bill, Carolina Catfish. Whisker and Dreams, Jerry Parker. Man,
Boy, Jerry had some good
full
fish.
house. First off, tonight, before we get too far along, um, after the loss of my brother, who was more of a dad to me than a brother, and all of the messages and thoughts and prayers and all the stuff that went through that the last week, I want to thank everybody for that. It meant the world to Cindy and I. And, it was a tough time for us, but we're through it. And he's no more in pain or any of that stuff. So just want to thank everybody for everything. And I got a lot of messages and text and things like that. And that stuff, it really means a lot to me when we get that kind of thing. So thank you all. And I'm never going to forget him, but your thoughts and prayers eased the pain a little bit with me. So thank you guys a bunch. I didn't receive any tournament stuff tonight, Chad. Did you?
No, the only result that I have is that I destroyed hooks and hammocks today in our 1v1.
Even Telly?
Yep.
Even Telly?
All by myself too. I didn't even need the help of the spouse of the year.
Wow.
Fishing. I'm just letting everybody know that.
Trying to figure out why B had to work and you were out there fishing.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. That's why I'm the boss.
Does not seem fair.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. That 5 River Rats are here.
Wow, all 5 River Rats are in the house tonight. Woo!
Dave Garcher, good to see you, buddy.
205. Wild action.
Wild action. The picture behind me tonight describes the topic that you and I talked about, Chad.
Yes,
about
sir.
Fishing high water. That bothers a lot of people. A lot of people won't fish it when flood water goes. For me, it's one of my favorite times. I like screaming fast water, and I like it to be high because the bait fish go into places where they're not normally at, and the big fish will follow them up in there. When it's raising, fish seem to be easier to catch. When it's dropping, they all go find the deep holes, and it's harder for me to get to them. But I love hot current, and I love high water. I know a lot of people think that's strange and crazy or whatever, but it works for me. But it does, along with that, you really have to watch your P's and Q's because you will, thank you, Christina, you will find yourself in trouble if you're anchored and a tree hits your anchor line or many other things. Hey, Troy.
Troy ain't wrong. Mine's freshly shaven, so it's going to be tonight. So.
But there's some dangers that go along with that, and you really need to watch your P's and Q's. What's your guys' thoughts?
Josh, you want to go or you want me to? I'll go.
Either way.
All right. Yeah. No, I agree. The waters like what you're seeing in that picture, behind Lyle is intimidating to a lot of people, and even myself. I'm not a expert at high water fishing like that. We get waters that shoot up 20 feet in 2 days in our area, basically the way they do the release of the at each of the dams and stuff like that. We're a flood control river, but even launching that morning was we were sitting there getting ready to launch, and one of the city officials just happened to pull up at the boat ramp and asked us basically, "Are you going out on that today?" And he's like, that's some pretty not calm water. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we fish a lot. We're very cautious of what we're going to be doing and stuff like that. But it does. You always need to be cautious of what's going on around you anytime you're on the water. But in that kind of situation, when you're current, where rivers like ours that may only have a half mile to a mile an hour current shoot for 4 mile an hour, and you have trash everywhere, and that's when it's picking up all the debris, and it makes our rivers very trashy. We had dozens of 20, 30, 40-foot trees floating down that river. And you always have to be on the lookout of what's up above you, coming at you. You can't take it as easy as you may do it on a, normal type river. It's not shooting all that kind of stuff out of you, because a 4 mile an hour, 40-foot tree don't take long to hit you and do some damage and make yourself be in a lot of trouble. So,
well, again, that's another thing where we talked about this, Josh, here a while back, about being anchored in hot current. It's a prime time to make sure that you have, especially if you're anchored on front and back, to have a very sharp knife on both ends of the boat, specifically for cutting anchor ropes if something strange happens. And it can.
Oh yeah, and it can happen. It can happen fast.
Yes.
It is not going to take any time at all, and that is the thing. Have a sharp knife.
Yep.
Whatever you gotta have, use it only for cutting anchor rope. So hopefully you never have to use it.
That's right.
But and that's the thing too. You see the the debris line and stuff like that, and every once in a while you'll see a log shoot out of it because it just heavier than what the current was pushing.
They'll go down and bounce the bottom, and I've seen them come shooting straight up. And
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. But you don't always know too what's 5, 10, 20 feet down that may hit that rope as well. So having
that's right. You can only see what's on top. You can only see what's on top.
Yeah. No, that high water, it can mess you up in a hurry, but it's it's also going to make the cats bite. If I got to have it, I'd rather have high water once the water warms up. This time of year, that cold, muddy, fast moving flood water, I don't know, it gets better at me most of the time.
Well, and I guess late winter, early spring flooding as well. The problem we get up here, the Missouri is constant, so it's not like everything lays down and then picks up too often, right? Sure, they get different levels of water.
I miss you, John.
Hey, James. Hey, James Elbaugh. Thanks, buddy. But anyway, that's what sucks about when our rivers shoot up like this, and we get that current that Lyle says doesn't happen on the Ohio. We're getting all that debris that's settled. We're getting all that debris though that's settled in the creeks along the riverbanks. It's picking up all.
It pushes out and makes that big old trash line down the river.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that trash line seems to be follow where all of our boat ramps are. So
yeah.
You got to pick around and find a ramp that you can even launch at. But a lot of the times that means launch it up in the creeks or one of the marinas or something if you've got one. So
one thing about the Ohio River is it goes up really quick and can come down really quick.
Yeah. It'll come down most of the time is just as quick as it goes up.
It goes up 30 feet like seemingly a day,
Yeah.
But it's not nearly as wide as a lot of the bigger rivers.
Yeah.
But when it goes up that quick, that current's got to be screaming.
It's moving.
It just has to be.
Yeah, and that's one me and my buddy Bill was talking about is, we've been out on the actual Ohio when it's this speed, right? And we have a 4 mile an hour top current. The undercurrent is moving even faster. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is like that on the Mississippi or any other river, but the Ohio seems to be even stronger undertow. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting to see when you can throw 32 ounces and it goes before it hits bottom. It's 50 yards downstream.
That's your river every day.
Anchor out the side of the boat and it goes downstream before you ever hit bottom with it. So.
Yeah. And see, that's why I didn't know that, Lyle, because I obviously never fished the Missouri because you never invite me and Josh out. But that's okay.
I have invited you many times.
Oh, here we go.
Don't even start it. And Josh has been out here. We just didn't go fishing.
Yeah,
we went eating.
We went and ate both times. So
yeah, but the Missouri River, it's free flowing from South Dakota till it hits the Mississippi. So you can only imagine. And since they don't maintain the dikes anymore on the Missouri River because of lack of commercial barge traffic, and it's not that there isn't barge traffic, it's the lack of it and enough tax dollars to maintain the wing dikes and stuff like that. So they just quit doing it. It's screaming. Even when it's low and without, it's heavy current. But it's not that bad. People are scared to death of it, but the guys that's been on it a lot, they're not. They're used to it, and that's where when we go to Ohio River fishing and there's no current, it's like fishing Lake Ozark. You think this ain't even a river, but it is. When it's flooded, it's just as dangerous and fast as any other river in those same conditions. It just is, and it bears watching. But like I say, I like hot current. I like high water. Is it the safest thing in the world? No, it's not. But the fishing always seems to find a way to bite if you can keep the debris off your line. That's the hardest thing to do. But a lot of times also, those fish have been out there fighting that current just like your boat motor has. And if you can find a wing dike to get behind or an eddy to fish, a lot of times those fish will be in there resting up and you can have your way with them.
I have found if I'm getting a lot of that trash, that grass and leaves and everything just gathering up on my line, that I'm probably not going to catch any fish right there. If I move somewhere else, I'll catch fish, because you got to imagine if that stuff's catching on your line, if those fish are laying in that, they're getting pelted in the face with that.
Yep.
And if you were down there getting pelted in the face, you'd probably move.
You want to move. That's exactly right.
Get away from that. Use that as a kind of a little marker there that if you're getting that, hey, get out of there. There is somebody that can do some high water fishing right there.
Yeah, buddy. And this is where my part of the conversation here in a bit it's going to lead, but I think we're touching on some good stuff here, and we'll get into what I love about high water. But yeah, I think you're 100% correct. Is finding those structures, those dips, and different things for those fish to hide in is a great. If you can figure out where they're at and how to set up on them, precision anchoring becomes a little bit tricky,
but that's when you learn how to use the front and rear anchor. Or if you have
anchor
a good
drift sock.
What's that?
I said we use anchor and a drift sock when it's high up like that.
That works good too. And another thing you can do is put out a rear anchor if you have a good trolling motor. Put it on spot lock, pulling against the back anchor, and a lot of times it'll stay right there. Not every time, but a lot of times. But it will also wear your batteries down. What river is the background tonight of?
That is the Licking River, Freddie, the one that you were out on this evening. So, yeah, we went out yesterday morning, and the Cincinnati pool of the Ohio River. Good morning, or good evening, good night, whatever, Jody. The Ohio River goes typically 26, 27 feet is where it was. I think it was 27, and it shot up to 45 feet in a day and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and what was weird is, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to go down to the Licking River. That Ohio flow is going to be pushing and holding back the Licking. Now, what was going on is everything was just unleashing. So we had, when we first started, it was about almost 3. It was just under. And we ended up going up to a creek to try to get bait. And by the time we came back up, it was actually starting to drop. And the flow increased to 3.25 to 4 mile an hour in the Licking River.
Wow.
And it is very narrow. So
That
We've
would
ran
be
about 2.5 today. So yeah, it was up in the trees. I mean, I know Lyle, I had sent you a picture of the boat ramp that morning, and the boat ramp is about, I would say 50, normally about 50 feet to the water. And there's a big, huge turnaround circle in the middle of it. And I was there Friday night meeting Brad Caudell, and it was about halfway, uh, almost halfway up the circle. When I got there the next morning, the circle was completely gone. It was above that.
Oh wow!
And you were literally launching in the tops of the tree.
I've seen when they set the record on Lake Ozark and Truman for high water here in the 1990s. You go down through there now, and guys would go along the bluffs and take spray cans and spray paint the rocks, and how high the water was. And you go up there today, and you look, and it's way the hell up there. You wonder how that water ever got that high, but it does.
Yeah.
Those lakes are made out of rivers and that are dammed up. And when it gets that high, they got the dams wide open. They still can't get rid of the water fast enough. But man, the fish, we caught so many fish in them days. We was catching them what we wanted, and we just stay there and catch them and throw them back no matter what they was, because they was just on fire. But those were lakes that had 3 and 4 miles an hour current in them. And everything in the world that because the water hadn't been up for so long to those magnitudes, that everything on the banks was floating down the rivers. And that's the time my oldest son was with me fishing one day, and we was catching the crap out of him, and a tree got into the anchor, and I told him to cut the rope, and he was going to be the man and get it out, and the front of the boat was going down. I had to run up there with a knife and cut the anchor rope. And he says, "Dad, I'd have got it. Not in time." Not in time. We was in an 18-foot John boat, and there's a tree about, I don't know, 18 inches around, probably 60 feet long, and with 3 and 4 mile an hour current, it was pushing the front of the boat down. And you just got to cut the rope. Take your loss and go
cut
on.
your losses on that one. That's
right.
You can get another anchor. Anchors are cheap.
Here's a great question. What is your advice for a beginner wanting to go fish the Ohio River while it's flooded?
Don't.
Go with somebody. If you got to go with somebody that knows what they're doing in a big boat with a big motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go out by yourself the first time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, never ever go. I was going to say, never ever go by yourself, and go with somebody that's been on it.
Yep. That is for sure. In fact, on any river that has any amount of current at all, I would suggest not ever going out alone until you learn it, as well as whoever you've been going with.
Yep.
And like I say, them big rivers with lots of current are no place for small boats and small motors. You need big boats with big motors to get you out of trouble when you need to be out of trouble.
Creole's got a real good point here. Let me pull that up. So that's why he loves a zigzag anchor cleat to let the rope loose under full load. And that is the truth.
That's fact.
They'll hold all day long, but the minute you need that thing loose, you just pull that is right out of there. So.
Yep, that's fact.
Dominic's got a good point. Says find a creek fed by the main river. That's a good way to do it, especially when it's flooded. Get away from that.
Yep.
Current. I mean, if you anchor up out there, it might take 32 ounces to hit bottom.
A lot of times it's and go straight down.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're not going to hit bottom. If you're anchored up, it's going to be hard to stay on the bottom. It
is. It is. Would like to let everybody know, since I see Mark in chat, that Mark will not have a show tonight after us. The Catfish and Crappie podcast will not be live after we are tonight. Something has come up, and he's not going to have a show. So if you're waiting to see Mark, you'll have to wait until another time.
But
I am.
That would lead me to also do what I was talking about earlier. Is one of my favorite things to do when the water is this high is to find flooded creeks. So that is by far typically where I end up being instead of on the main river. I have two in mind, and I went to one of them today. That is my go-to because when this water floods, especially in the springtime. So here in the next month or two, we will have even more bait that pushes up into that, and because we actually have more sustained levels when it'll be really high. It won't be always that real high, 20 foot up and 20 foot down in like 4 days or 5. And that bait tends to push up in there even more. And I love to go up in there and drag baits. Or if I'm not finding them up in there, I could actually find that, go to the mouth creek and fish that seam line where it's, you can hit some of the current and some of the slack. So
sometimes that seam would be a little bit further inside that mouth too, because we've got one down by us. It's a larger creek that feeds into the Ohio River. The Ohio River's on a fast rise and it's moving real good. It'll start backing up in that creek, and you'll actually have a reverse current. You'll have current flowing into the creek, and we found if you get up there past where that's coming, get it where the creek's still flowing that right way, right at that transition, it funnels everything right together. It's a good spot to catch fish.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. Like the creek that we were fishing today is in a straight stretch of the river, and the entrance kind of curves in and out. So from the mouth to about 50 yards into the creek where the actual boat ramp is, it's like almost a reverse, like you're saying, a reverse flow. It's flowing into the creek instead of out of the creek. So it's pretty neat.
Now we were talking a minute ago about anchoring in the current, and I mentioned throwing out one anchor in the front and then using your drift sock. And I want to elaborate on that.
Good idea.
It is a good idea to have multiple size drift socks. A great big drift sock is excellent when the river is not flowing and you barely have any current for keeping you tight on the anchor. But it does not take a long time with that current's ripping. You can get away with an 18 or a 24-inch drift sock because it's going to keep you pinned on there. You get one too big, you're going to be dragging down the back of your boat.
That's right.
The drift sock can sink your boat.
A 5-gallon bucket
with a hole
with
in it.
Holes in the bottom of it in heavy current probably is a safe bet. Danny says flooded
creeks are no good.
I tried it yesterday, but it's not foolproof.
Yeah.
No.
And Parker's right. Finding drain tiles feeding into creeks during flood, that's a great place to catch multiple species of fish.
You'll see that bait get up there flipping. If it's up there and there's stuff messing around and there's fish in there chasing that bait's going to be up there flipping. Look for that. I mean, watch for visual cues. Watch for visual cues.
Yep.
It's one of the best things you can do.
Birds
coming in. My daughter always loves to watch for the birds. She's like, Dad, let's go fish by the birds. So,
there you go.
It's there. So
there's a reason them birds are there, just like there's a reason them shad are flipping.
Something's messing with. Something's getting them aggravated.
That's right. When water gets high enough to flood the willows, the cats move in to eat the mussels off the trees. Makes sense to me.
That's one of the things. One of our lakes here, in springtime, it'll be 5 or 6 feet over normal pool every year. Just what it is. And if you want to find the cats when it's up there flooded, you don't go to the normal haunts. You go up there into that new water, the stuff that's flooded. Fish up in there. They're up there feeding as close to the bank as they can get. And the ones up there are aggressive, and they're wanting to eat. J.G. Hill got real good points. Said flooded waters will not go out and boat at night.
I like to be at home sleeping, whether
I have to comment on that just for a second. I love to fish at night. We don't do very much of it anymore because, well, I'm getting old. But if you fish at night, fish areas you are familiar with. Don't go to a strange place. We done that one time, and it was a miserable friggin' night. I'll tell you right now. Tore up some stuff, and just had a crappy night. It was on high current on the Missouri River in places we wasn't used to, and it was just a horrific evening. But go places that you're familiar with and stay within your means and bounds. Don't go to strange places at night if you're by yourself, especially.
yeah, that goes for not fishing too. Don't go to strange places at night.
That's a good rule no matter what. So
Yeah. Justin's fishing set fetish.
hey, Justin.
Gabby's dead.
It's twice I've seen that guy today.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's good to see him.
This Bobcat. But yeah.
Yeah, I told Terry I would give him a super chat if he'd hop on that buoy. There was a channel marker buoy yesterday when Jerry Parker was fishing with the river.
It was right there.
And it was right there. Big old green channel marker buoy. And I told him to hop on that thing and ride it like Slim Pickens did that bomb in Dr. Strangelove. I said, just flip around and like you're riding a bull. And Jerry did not disappoint. He jumped out there, rode that thing, and then about fell and drowned himself trying to get off of it. But
I have to say, if you guys have ever been on the river, they have a barge that resets those buoys and puts them back where they're supposed to be. And they evidently use GPS stuff like we have on our fish finders, because when they set them where they're supposed to be, you can take your fish finder, the charts on them, and when you go past the buoys, it'll be right exactly where it says they are to be. Now, they'll pick them things up and drag the weights and the cables, and they'll set them buoys out, or they'll pick them up and take them in for repairs and put different ones out where them was supposed to be. It's very interesting work to watch them guys do that if you've never seen it done. There's Brad right there, title weights and suffers.
Yeah, saw that young gentleman on, like I said, on Friday night.
Awesome.
Got to meet his lady and his 3 daughters.
3 daughters.
Yeah, I told him.
Lots of
good luck.
Yeah, no, I do good with one.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one. That was enough.
Hey, Brad, that's a good question. I wonder if it's lead holding those buoys down.
I don't remember now. I've seen that, but I believe it was cast.
No.
I think, but I don't remember now. So long ago.
Brad, I think that's a good idea. I think we need to see about splitting that somehow.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine, speaking of the lead, that worked at the Missouri University, and they would get 8-foot chunks of lead that was the size of a brick, 8 foot long.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And they would, I don't know what they ordered it in for, but they would order it in, and they'd use some of it, and it'd lay there 3-4 foot. And it'd lay there, and they'd trip over it and move it, and this and that. One day they got tired of it, and they told Keith, he said, "You want that lead, take it home and get it out of here." And he cut it up in little chunks, took it home. 2 or 3 days later, they had to order another 8-foot stick because they didn't have none.
Oh,
but it's the university. I mean, they can afford it.
Yeah, yep.
But he had enough lead to last him a lifetime after that.
There's J&S Outdoors. Howdy there.
Hey, man, if you guys haven't checked out his videos, he fishes a lot from the bank down in Oklahoma. Some quality videos, and a lot of times he has his little girl with him. You will enjoy it. I promise you. Go check out his YouTube channel. Bobcat, I might have to borrow the barge. Well, one thing about it, when the water gets really, really out of sorts, even the barge traffic slows down.
Mm-hmm.
You'll still see some, but not as much.
Yeah, and looking at that yesterday, we were joking like being able to fish up towards that, towards the bank and stuff is a great place, and all, on a flooded river, as close as you can, But like in the river, what we were fishing yesterday, you know, it's there is no like real shallow up through there. It's pretty much comes straight down into the
Mm-hmm.
the depth of the river minus the channel, right? So, but out on the main river of the Ohio, you're going to be able to find some of those slack waters that are in that couple foot range to slows it down a little bit. That bait pushed, if they're not hiding down in holes and behind whatever, big boulders or whatever, they're pushed up in some of those areas. You can find those a little bit easier. We couldn't find those areas yesterday. So
I'll tell you something else that people don't realize. With all the trash and all the stuff that's in the water when it's high and out of whack, you have to make adjustments to your depth finders, because if not, you will be you don't know what you're looking at because it's all cluttered up. You've got to adjust the contrast and different things on there to get an image where you can at least find the bottom. A lot of people just leave it the way it is. Well, they don't have no clue what they're seeing.
yeah,
They might think they know, but they really don't. If you don't make the adjustments for the conditions, I adjust mine nearly every time I get on the water, because it seems like the conditions are always different.
is
And
that because you don't have a Garmin?
what's that? No, I'll never own one. I promise you.
I guarantee you. I guarantee you. If you put a Garmin on your boat, you'll never go back.
No, you're wrong. And it's not that there's anything wrong with a Garmin. It's just that every time I turn a channel on that I haven't seen before, all they want to talk about is live scope, and I will never own a Garmin because of that. Not that it's bad; it's great stuff. I'm just sick of hearing about it. Just sick of it.
Here's Jay's catfishing. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, Jay, it's good. Yeah, definitely good to see you. Do you know what I'm not tired of hearing, Lyle?
You catching fish?
Well, duh.
James Dockery catching fish?
No, I am kind of tired of hearing that, but more of that on Thursday this week. It is going to be 74 degrees.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm not tired of hearing that.
I'm not tired of hearing it. I'm not tired of hearing it, and I'm not tired of telling James about it either.
I know.
Are
After
you?
the message I got earlier, I had to bring that up again. And that's James there throwing angry faces at us
I
tonight.
am not sick of sliced bread. I like sliced bread.
He's jealous of our weather.
It's a great product. It's just that people don't think you can fish without it anymore. And if they would spend as much time with side imaging as they do live scope fishing,
that's something I'm
side
trying to
imaging is the action, in my opinion.
That's something I'm trying to get better at and dial in on my depth finder is the side imaging.
But I will never have anything but a hummingbird. I had one Lowrance. I wouldn't own the whole frigging company for it. There's the biggest piece of junk I ever used in my entire life. It never worked right.
See, my Lowrance has been the best one I've ever owned.
And that's what Doc says the same thing. But that one,
I started with Lowrance.
It was horrible.
I started with Lowrance, and it was okay. But when I switched to my Garmin, night and day difference.
Yeah, well, I ain't, like I say, I'll never own one just because I'm so sick of hearing about live scope this and live scope that. And I don't need it. I don't think I need it. I don't fish. I don't fish where I have to go pick out the fish I want to catch. I want to catch them all, every one of them.
That's right.
So I don't need that. And people get it, and they don't think they can fish without it. Well, then they're not a fisherman. They are a water raper, in my opinion. So there you go. I used to have one. I never had a paper graph, but I had the old what do you call them, Josh? The old ones that like lit up Hummingbird.
Oh yeah,
Flashers.
Oh,
Flashers. Yeah.
Yeah, what was it? They
Man,
had,
I thought when we come out with them things, we thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
Super 60 or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, 60.
You know what? That was what I learned on. I learned on like a Hummingbird flasher.
Yep, that's exactly. Oh man, when they come out, we thought, oh my God, look what we got. And now you can, like I say, them Garmin's, and I guess birds are the same way, and so's Lowrance with the new ones that they got out now. But you can target the fish you want to catch with them. Well, that's not fishing for me. That's just catching. Which there's times I like to do that, but not as a general rule.
Had to say hello to Honolulu, Halana.
Glad to see her in chat tonight.
I seen Palmetto made it in.
Had a question in there.
And who else?
Yeah, there it is. Jane asked, what type of depth finder or fish finder you recommend for a beginner? Never had one, plan to get one soon. And Creole gave him a really good answer. He said they're all good brands.
That's right.
You're not going to get hurt on any one of them.
Anymore. No.
But
buy the best you can afford.
Buy the biggest screen you can afford.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you are going to see more detail on a larger screen. You know.
Yeah. Buy any of them that you can afford, as long as it starts with Garmin.
Lowrance.
But honestly, and I'm joking about that, but yes, biggest size that you can afford is definitely good, but invest in your transducer as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
Learn the difference of, so you don't go and get a 12-inch Garmin or whatever with a 50 transducer when you really need a 54, 56 is even the best, right? So
Buck Williams,
32 would be perfect.
You're the first person that's asked about that, and we was just talking about that before the show started. There's a reason that we call them that, and we might go over that Thursday night. So tune in for that.
Lyle, did you read that?
Oh God!
You remember when he was sucking up at the beginning of the show, Lyle? I'd put whatever he's sucking up about on the bottom of your list.
I got to tell you, that Monster Cat had a Lowrance in it. At the time, it was the biggest and the best, and it just quit. Maybe it'd start up, maybe it wouldn't. You send it in, there's nothing wrong with it. You put it back in, check all the wires, all the connections. It worked good for 2 or 3 weeks. You take it out to the tournament, and you take off at launch at tournament in the dark, and it just go blank. And it might might not come back on. It might come on in 5 minutes. It might not come on for 2 or 3 trips out.
That was the exact problem I had with my Lowrance. Is you'd be sitting out there and it'd be working fine. All of a sudden, and
if that was
may or may not get it turned back on.
If that was the only thing on the market to buy, I'd just grab Cindy up and stick her head in the water, and she could tell me what's underneath the boat. Caitlin does like the Lowrance. Well, there you go.
Caitlin knows how to run that Lowrance.
I bet she does too.
That ain't no kidding.
I had the worst luck with one of them, and you can't give me one. I don't care. I don't want no part of it. In fact, I told a guy I wouldn't even get in his boat because he had one time. After we come in, and I had trouble all day with that thing, he said, "Kira, let me show you how to do that. Come go over for a ride." And I said, "I ain't getting your boat. You got one of them junkers in there. I'm not getting in it." But I was so mad because it hadn't worked all day. And we was in a tournament, spent a bunch of money in several days down there, and it didn't work the day it needed it to work. And there's nothing more aggravating than that. And like I say, you could send it in, they'd send it back. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah. Check your wires. Well, we run all new wires twice. It's not wires. It's something wrong with that unit, and they ruined me on them.
Yeah, it's funny. It doesn't take a whole lot to kind of give you a sour taste on a brand.
It don't when you're counting on it. You dependent on it.
I mean, they all three make good products.
They do.
They do. It's a Ford and Chevy and Dodge thing. It really is.
Oh, I kind of disagree on that.
I mean, you got Garmin equals Ford. We'll go with
Lowrance is Toyota.
Chevy,
run forever.
Lowrance being a Dodge, maybe.
We'll give Hummingbird Ford because it's kind of like the Pinto of the fish finder world
Great
here.
pro stock cars, though. They really did.
But
I just thought of something that we hadn't addressed tonight, and I haven't seen your sister Betty Jean in here tonight. But her and Brandon's anniversaries today.
yes, it is.
Right, I forgot about that.
I remember seeing that from this morning, and it's pretty cool with the health issues that Brandon's had recently. They're out celebrating that, so congratulations to them. I don't know how many years it was. I don't know that I've seen, but congratulations. That's a big deal.
Yep, happy anniversary, Bub and Sis.
Absolutely.
If you all remember me, it's been a minute.
I haven't talked to any of them for a long time, but every time I
they've
do,
been busy.
I got a real nice message from Betty last week, and I hope Brandon's still doing good because he went through some struggle. So we're wishing him the very best.
The last update I saw, they took that RV out on a nice long trip and had a great time. So
yeah, there you go.
They're enjoying life right now.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Miss Jody?
Well, Creole's just all over the board tonight. He'll go one direction and the other.
I do know.
Fourth. Creole will be a little sneaky snake tonight.
He is. He's had some fast race cars. He knows where I'm coming from on a lot of it. With him and I've had some wild conversations about.
Oh, I bet.
Oh. I am very good at it there, Jody. And I caught 5 today, and Chris and Telly managed 1.
Excuse me, but I thought that was Telly managed 1.
Yeah, Telly managed 1.
Telly caught the fish.
Honestly, guys, I wasn't even going to throw out that Chris managed to lose 1, but
he did lose 1. Yeah,
he did lose 1. Yeah.
So
426 Hemi Belvedere.
Here we go.
11th anniversary, D says. Wow. Good for them guys.
Man, not bad.
Not bad at all. It'll be mine and Christina's 11th this year too. So
Fishing by Faith Outdoor says, I'll take Lowrance and Dodge. I like them both. You and Mark will get along just fine.
Yep.
I don't know. Isn't Mark a Garmin guy though?
I think anything that works makes him happy.
Yeah.
As long as he's catching fish, but I think he does like his Garmins.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember he went, as soon as he found out that I owned the Garmin, he went out and started buying Garmin everything.
He couldn't stand it because you might have one better than him or as good.
Exactly. He looks up to me, Lyle. It's okay. Chad Nolte, I appreciate you watching today, buddy. No, Jody, I have started to doing some stuff to put together an instruction video for Dragon, but I got a lot to do with it. So we'll get there. I'll get one out.
It's fixing to be that time of year.
Yeah. Well, I would have done the recording and stuff today, but I was forced to go live.
How was that?
You would have had wind noise today, though. So.
Yeah, but
somebody had it anyhow.
Well, Chris was like, I don't want to be seen on screen with you, but Telly was like, I would be honored to be on screen with you. So I was like, now I feel like obligated.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, man. That's something else, all right. Well, it looked like you guys had a great time. And, you caught some fish. So,
yeah.
How bad a day could it have been?
Hey, it was any day you get out there and you get the fish is great. When you catch fish, it's even greater.
So, I was worried. I didn't know what your temperature was down there, but it was warm here. When I took the dog out, it was like 40 degrees. early this morning, but no wind and the sun was shining. It felt like it was 60 then. When you don't have any wind and the sun's shining real bright, it's a beautiful morning. And I thought when I come in and you guys was live, I thought, man, I hope they don't have no wind. And then pretty soon I started hearing the wind noise on Chris's phone. And I knew that they didn't have the day that we was having here, but it was still a great day for us.
Yeah, it was nice out there, and it was weird because when we first got there, launching, trying to find bait, couldn't figure out where the bait was. And I'm like, I'm going to go over where these islands are that I drag past because I always see shad over there when I'm dragging baits any time of the year. And it was tough. We were pulling it. I was pulling them in 1, 2 at a time, but I got enough bait out of it to be able to fish with for the day. But I don't know. I felt really hot until probably about 10 o'clock in the morning, and the wind started, and it kind of gave the wind a little chill. Well, don't give him time of the day.
What?
Big Wrench says going to be 89 there Thursday. Where is there? It must be Texas.
Yeah,
that's too hot.
There's Art.
Where's the flood?
There's Matt from Want to Be Outdoors saying the mosquitoes are out. I could do without the mosquitoes.
Yeah, there's nothing good about that.
Do not like mosquitoes.
No.
Buck said that dragging isn't for you, Jody. You only use 6 rod, not 25. I can drag with 6, 8, 10.
I would like to see Jody drag and start getting them hung up and have her porcupine looking boat would be a mess with all them hung up. I've had 6 hung up before, and the best thing, whether in U shapes underneath the boat, and I just take the knife and start whacking lines. I ain't gonna screw with that.
I mean, as good as I consider myself to be, I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I had it happen to me last year down in Tennessee River.
Yeah,
5 of my 6 hung up. And, it happens. But like I said, once you figure it out, and figure out the technique, I've ran as many as 4 boards on each side.
Oh wow,
that's a lot.
So,
Jody, because they get tangled up faster than your hair in a reel.
That's true.
That was a good one, Jeremy.
Bugman's out there losing gear. That ain't good.
Any fin, I know how that goes too.
Yeah.
Roger Tangle just getting them out of the car. That's the truth.
Hey, they make these rod covers that I've put on mine.
You can be great at dragging baits. You're still going to get hung up. That's the way it is. That is the truth. That's the truth with any of it. If you're spin drifting, you are going to get snagged from time to time. You're going to look over, there'll be about 3 rods just bent double.
One thing about that, Josh, if you're not getting hung up once in a while, you're probably not where the fish are.
Yeah, you got to be willing to donate some tackle to the river gods. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I've been severely frustrated at times with it. But if you're not willing to just get over it and keep trying it,
I will tell you though, if you're getting hung up a lot, you need to make friends with Brad Caudell. He can hook you up.
Find one of those independent people that are making sinkers.
That's right.
Yeah.
We can't afford nobody can afford to go buy their lead at Bass Pro or Walmart or anything. It's too high.
That's crazy what they get out.
You're going to get a better bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Somebody that's doing it. And you're helping out somebody, that.
Matt wants to know what kind of weights you use today.
Today I am strictly reel them up dragging weights. That's Ron down in Alabama, great product, and I've used many different kinds, and that's what I went to probably about a year and a half ago, and have never turned back. I love them. So,
Fishing Fever's got a good comment there. Said line counter while suspended, smart fishing if you can afford the reels. Yeah, all my suspend reels are.
I love line counter reels.
Yeah, line counter reels are great for not only suspending, like if you want to try to brave suspending in something like what we were talking about tonight, or even dragging baits or
boards or anything.
Planer boards doesn't matter.
Well, that, and even when you're anchored, because it's always good to stagger your line length on the rods that you're using, right? So you don't want to have everything out at 50 feet behind your boat.
I do not like to bump without a line counter, because if the fish are biting in one specific area, you can go right back to it. Same distance.
Hello.
Really?
I have a comment, but I'll keep it to myself.
Yeah, probably a good idea. But yeah, Andy Garcia, I seen him. Sounds like a famous person I once knew. You can absolutely fish in any water. You just got to be, have a brain on you when you're out there. Make sure you're using it.
922 says, nope. Tire shops usually sell lead cheap, but some are stingy. A lot of the new tire weights aren't made out of lead anymore. Right. And you can't melt those down, but there's still a lot of lead tire weights out there, and a lot of the guys still buy the lead instead of the newer stuff. So you can still get lead from tire shops, just not the abundance of it you once could. I used to have a hookup to where I would go down there, and they'd actually load 5-gallon buckets of it in my truck, and all I'd have to do is get it out when I got home, which wasn't a terribly big deal, but all I had to do to get it was make a few of them guys some weights, fishing sinkers once in a while, take them down there, and they would give all of it to me. And it changed management, and that went by the wayside, but for a long time, that was really, really handy. And once you get the metal parts out of that and the dirty stuff off of it, it's good, clean lead. Want you to get it hooked up and just make you some ingots out of it and use it, and it's as good as anything else, especially when you're getting it for free. Now, if you have to pay for it, if I got to pay much for it, I want the good stuff where I don't have to clean it all up very much.
Yeah, if you're using wheel weights, get yourself a casting thermometer, because the melting point of zinc isn't a whole lot higher than the melting point of lead.
Yes.
You want to be melting that zinc. I've done that. You end up melting that, and it melts fine in your lead, on the propane in the cast iron Dutch oven that I'm melting everything in. But when I throw it in my electric lead pot, it don't get hot to melt that.
Yeah. Big Rent says he works in a crane shop. He had a lot of lead. There's Chris.
I thought Chris would be sleeping by now.
Wow.
Right.
He's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
They did use wheel weights on stone wheels.
Yeah, Brad knows. Yeah, Brad knows.
Yeah, he does. He's run into it.
Yeah, you end up with what looks like kinetic sand or quicksand in your hot pot, and then you have a whole pot of lead that you got to get rid of.
Just throw it away. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's bad.
Ain't no future in that, and it's not any good. It's terrible. So, best thing to do is be able to tell the difference and just not use it at all. If you can't tell the difference and you don't want to make it, then guys like Brad is the place to go.
Absolutely.
I keep all the stuff that I scrape off the top of the lead pot, because it's always got a little bit of lead in it. And when I build an anchor, I'll take and get that stuff real hot, and I'll pour that pipe. Once I get all that welded together, I'll pour that lead pipe or pour that steel pipe full of that lead slag, and then make an anchor heavy in a hurry.
Good idea.
Yeah, I'll bet so.
So, do we have any questions in chat? I know we kind of tend to squirrel every once in a while, but questions about fishing flooded waters.
We didn't talk about food, so we're doing pretty good.
I had fried chicken for dinner.
I had beef tips and buttered noodles.
That sounds good.
How do you butter a noodle?
Very careful.
Put butter on top of the noodles that you cook that are still hot, and yes.
I thought you was buttering them singly.
Wow.
Hey, boys, it's going to be 65 or warmer tomorrow. I think I'm going to.
You should.
I'm going to try to catch fish tomorrow, I believe. So,
you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go to work. Some of us actually got a freaking job.
Well, if it has to be one of us, I'm glad it's you.
I only got to work 2 days this week. I'm working tomorrow and Wednesday, and then I'm off Thursday, Friday as well. So,
wow.
I'm working Wednesday and part of the day on Thursday, and then I'll have Friday off. So,
apparently Dee just heard the "How do you butter a noodle" comment. She is cackling like a hen in there.
Oh man, Mark, if you haven't ate dinner by this late, hell, I'd just skip it and wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Mark, go run through Taco Bell.
He's got another place that got some amazing looking tacos. I haven't got to try one yet, but they look good when he shows me pictures of them.
Mark's too good for Taco Bell, I'm sure. That's not fancy enough for him. So.
I remember when I used to be able to afford Taco Bell.
I remember when they had a $59, $79, $99 menu, and that went away a long time ago.
Oh, we have a brand new Taco Bell in the metropolitan area of Buffalo, Missouri, and it's so expensive I can't afford to eat there. You know, when you got to pay $3 or $4 for a taco from Taco Bell, I just soon go to the Mexican restaurant we have here in town and get a better one for less.
No, absolutely.
Got a bad sharp pain shooting up the side of my neck.
Well, that ain't good.
Well, just keep twisting it. That'll help it.
Chad Nolte says, when you all fish flooded water, do you all fish the eddies? Is normally the best spot.
I like them. But I like right out in the current, too.
Yeah. It kind of depends. I'll get out of that trash line. If we have warm water and you've got a ripping current like that, get out of that trash line and go bump. And
there's a lot of ways to fish it.
Yeah, there's going to be fish all over in there. The eddies concentrate everything up, though. So it's always a good spot to try or a good spot to start out at, if nothing else. So,
like I said earlier, that's where they go, is places like that and behind wing dikes and different places to get out of the fast. They're tired. They want to take a rest, and they'll go in there, and there's invariably bait fish in there.
If you can get up anchored, and sometimes it's difficult to do it, but if you can get anchored ahead of one of those wing dikes, when that water comes in and goes up with that thing, it creates a real low current spot right at the front of that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. You can have current ripping, and you right there at the front of that wing dike holding it there with 3 ounces of lead. And the fish that will be out there will be feeding.
That's why they're there. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
What's up, squirrel?
Fishing with squirrel. Yeah, Animals, Creation, and Adventures. Did I win yet? We don't have any win.
Dan, you did watch Catfish Weekly this week. That's always a win.
That is.
There you go.
That is. Sean T.
Brad says they love to feed on tree lines when it's flooded. Yeah, they would.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else that people overlook. If you have an area, and it doesn't have to be in flooded water, to where you have a stained area and a muddy area where the two of them come together, and they're right in that seam line. There's going to be feeding fish in there, I promise you. Dan says, lady had to go to Walmart. Did you see that Dockery there? It's his favorite store.
Thank you, Big Bill. Agree.
Thank you, sir.
Every show is a great show here on Catfish Weekly.
We had a good show tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah.
That is not true. But I did make a couple of trips over today and still didn't get what I was needing.
Hey, I think I've got a picture of you there. So
Yep. I went over to pick up a couple of cords to hook up a camera. Got one right, one wrong, and go back to get the right one. They didn't have it, so Amazon it is. And I'm okay with that. The Walmart delivery and Amazon delivery is about the same speed, and chances of getting the right stuff for me, anyhow, is a lot better with Amazon.
yeah, Amazon pretty well has it figured out.
Thank you, Joe Buck. We appreciate it very much. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I think that should do it for tonight, boys.
Yeah.
You have a guest on Thursday night, Chad?
No.
So, no guest.
Yeah, we're so far out, being 3 days. I couldn't tell you what we're doing Thursday night. Well, both of my little helpers, Santa's little helpers, are going to be down setting up. So we'll see how that goes.
Maybe they give us the behind the scenes kind of stuff Thursday night.
Ooh.
I'd say they'll be behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Mark and I will have a guest on Thursday night. I don't remember the name because I've been out of town, but be sure to tune into that. We'll come in right after the bait shop, and then we'll be right back here next Monday night at 7 o'clock. So looking forward to seeing everybody then. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. I hope we helped you figure out some things on fast water. We'll come up with another great topic, and we'll be back next Thursday or next Monday night.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you then.
Have a great week, y'all. A lot of you at CatCon this weekend here. So
there you go.
See you Friday.